Okay, good day, good morning, good afternoon. I don't know when you're watching this, but I'm Jerry Lavoie, and right now what I'm trying to do is just get started. Get started with ArcGIS Pro, get started with our course, Geographic Information Systems at Sioux College. This is an introductory video, and basically what its purpose is, I'm going to post it to YouTube and allow students from our group to have access to it. And it's there because you can install ArcGIS software on personal machines. You can work with it outside of class, right? When a homework is assigned and so on. You can go through these videos that I'm going to be posting outside of class to kind of practice your skills or revisit things that maybe were a little bit confusing for you in class. You can use them, and in the past I've done this and it's worked fairly well for a majority of the students, because you can pause the video, you can rewind it, you can rewatch, you can have access to it at any time. You want to do GIS at 4 in the morning, that's up to you, right? You still have to be in class. So do I. I'm a morning guy, so. Anyways, I'm Jerry Lavoie, Gerard Lavoie. Call me Jerry if you want. Call me Gerard if you want. Don't call me late for dinner, right? This is a PowerPoint, right? In behind me I've got a PowerPoint, and in class I'm going through this PowerPoint. And I also, for today, I've got a few other documents. I've got this one right here. It's the Getting Started with ArcGIS Pro software tutorial document. It's our first one of the semester that will have us signing in. It'll have us just looking at the interface, right? The software interface, where are all the buttons, what do they do? And it's all introductory, meaning that we're not going to get to everything today, but we are going to set some goals, and those goals are that we want to know how to at least manage windows and panes and the ribbon, and know where some of the tools are for navigating or maybe doing some inquiries. Relatively basic stuff. So this document right here, right, it's got a lot in it. Everybody has a copy of it. And you can get a copy of it through our LMS system right here. And you know what? I'm going to turn off my camera because you don't need to see me talking anymore. But hi, this is me at home in my home office. Got some new recording software, and I'm pretty impressed with how it works. So pretty cool stuff. Let me just turn off my video capture so I disappear. You'll still hear me. All right. So on LMS, right, everybody, if you're logged into LMS, you're able to get some content for our course, right, the Geographic Information Systems course, splash screen. Today's Sunday. I'm not teaching the course till Tuesday of this week, so I haven't put any announcements in. I'm planning on doing that after, later on this afternoon after I get this video done. But what I want to say is that this is our go-to area for getting access to our grades. Right? This is where I'm going to be keeping attendance. This is where there are going to be drop boxes where you're going to submit assignments. This is where there are going to be quizzes where you gotta do your quiz and there's a quiz for the week 1 materials. Right? It's going to be in the assessment section. I haven't made that available just yet because, well, to be honest, I haven't finished all of the questions. I've got about 7 questions so far. That's not enough. In the content section, this is something that I have been building. If you have a look, you can see that it's broken up into modules, right? And the modules sit on the left-hand side. There's kind of like headings that can be expanded. And in those expandable headings, you see all the stuff, right? So there's an overview. If you want to go to the overview tab, you'll see that there's, a little picture, a little welcome message, and this is where you get the course outline. The course outline is there for you to read on your own, and it's for you to use, if you are going on to future studies. You may need this course outline, so definitely download a copy of it. There are some other documents also. If I go to module 0, the first 0 module, there's some admin documents in there. And all they are is, we have an addendum, basically, talking about COVID protocol and some of the things with regards to some addendums to the outline. No big deal there, nothing too scary, nothing big at all. But then there's also some other guides that you may use, not just for this course, right? There's some key dates, right? If you are planning to drop the course, you better drop it by a certain date if you don't want to have financial penalty, or drop it by a certain date if you don't want academic penalty. That stuff is in there. There's a campus map I threw in there, credit transfer, early leaving, all of those sorts of things are sitting in these admin document in that module. This is what I have in there so far, and it's a place for you to grab that stuff, right? There's also another module here called Getting Started in GIS at Sioux College, because you need to familiarize yourself, if you aren't already familiar, with just using computer labs at Sioux College, right? When you go into a computer lab, you've got to log into like a whole bunch of different things, right? So there's some guides here with regards to accessing our portal, LMS, which you're logged into right now, or I'm logged into. Microsoft Office, right? That's where you have access to Teams. That's where you have access to your OneDrive, SharePoint sites. You also have access to all of the Microsoft Office applications that you would use to do assignments in your other classes and all that kind of stuff, right? But there's also, Getting Started in Computer Labs. This PDF right there, it talks about all of the different logins that you've got to do when you get to the classroom or get to a computer lab. You've got to log into Sioux College to be able to have access to LMS, but you also have to log in to MS Office, excuse me, to have access to Teams. You have to log into what's called Apps Anywhere, and that will give you access to software applications that are not the Microsoft products, right? So ArcGIS Pro is one of them. There are some other Adobe products. There are some interesting things in there. There's some pretty cool stuff that you have access to. WinRAR, not super exciting, but anyways. There's another one here called Downloading and Installing ArcGIS Pro. I was talking earlier about how you're using documents not only in the computer lab, but you're going to be working with the software outside of class as well, and put it on your personal machine. You've got an account with Esri. Esri is the company that publishes the software, and I've created accounts for everybody, and you can use that account to log in and so on. So download and install ArcGIS on your own machine, and you have access to it outside of class. And the beauty of that is that you can use OneDrive to have access to your data and projects and things that you're working on as well, which is quite nice. And then there's a terminology guide as well. Some terms. It's pretty simple. It doesn't have everything. In fact, in one of the activities that we do today, we're going to be talking about how you can have access to more resources to help you. Esri, the company, they publish a lot of resources, and they have an online textbook, so to say, or a help section, and it's huge. It has everything that you can think of. There's communities, and there's all kinds of stuff. I'll talk about that in the PowerPoint during class. What this video is for is just to kind of help you get versed, and I'm going to go through the first activity. The first activity is just opening the software, logging in, and playing around with it without really adding any data or doing anything too crazy. We're just going to get used to the interface, right? Because that's in itself something that is, it could be completely new to you for this type of GUI or graphics user interface. So anyways, that's there. If you look here, there's another module, Getting to Know ArcGIS Pro. If I click on that, You don't have access to that till Tuesday, but I have those documents up. There is one called Getting to Know ArcGIS Pro. That is the PDF that it has the activities in it, it has a lot of instructions in it, and we're going to be following that in class, trying to do 5 activities. There's another one, Introduction to ArcGIS Pro 22W PPT. That's the PowerPoint. You can download that and have it outside of class as well. And there's another one called Sample Bookmarks, and we'll talk about that later. So let's get started. Let's try to get started. What am I doing? All right, let's start by going here. This is ArcGIS Pro. I have it open, right? So in class, we are going to go through the whole process of activating your ArcGIS Pro account, right? Your Esri account with the Sioux College GIS Department organization, and that's where you can download the software, and that's also where you set up your user account. You need to have a password, right? And we'll talk about passwords, and you'll find out what your username is in class. But this is it. This is the splash screen, so to speak, the start screen. And this is what it should look like. It should look very similar when you're in a computer lab, once you have it open through through Apps Anywhere. It opens up, and if you look at it, you can see that there's all these things that you can do, but this is a very important part of using ArcGIS Pro. You've got to log in. Okay, and that's done up here. If I say sign in, right, I'm going to go and I'm going to sign in to the Sioux College GIS Department. And my username is, oh boy, what is my username? This might be interesting. I can't remember what my username is. Wait a second. What do I do if I can't remember my username? Well, for me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to here, and I can log into the department over here. You can log into our GIS department using a web browser as well, right? And here's my username right here, Gerard.Lavoie _Sioux_GIS. What a long username. That's a difficult one. Your username is going to be your first initial, your last name, and then there's your student number as part of that as well. What a pain. But here it is. So hopefully I can just copy this. Oh, I can. Look at that. That's good. So let me get back over here and put this in. I know what my password is, but hopefully you won't be able to see it. Good. So I'm going to sign in. What? It's not letting me sign in. Maybe my username. Maybe it's this. No? What? Oh. I had caps lock on. Oops. Now it should work. Hey, look at that. Now I'm logged in, right? It says my name at the top. There's no profile picture or anything like that here. But online, when you're logged into the Sioux College GIS department, right, you can create your profile just like you would for MS Teams or Office or whatever. Okay, so this is our area. This is our organization, and it's an ArcGIS online thing. And I can look at the organization right now, and I can see where the members are, where the groups are, and all of that. And everybody here is in a group, and that group is called Forestry Technician, and it's the GIS group. So I've added some content there just for people to play around with. So if you already have your account set up, you can mess around with that on your own time. But let's go back to Arc Pro, because I want to focus on opening up a new project and playing around with the windows, right? And that's all part of this document right here, right? Everybody here has access to this document, right? You download it from LMS. And you can see it serves to assist with classroom activities and so on. And you can see I finally got logged in, and it can be a pain, but once you get logged in, you're good. One thing to note about the machines at college computer labs is that at every reboot, they reset, meaning all of your logins you'd have to do again. And I'm sure those of you that are here have already experienced that, and if you haven't, well, you're going to learn about it. Right? So this splash screen, there are some, I'm not going to be reading every word that's on this document, but what I am going to do is I'm going to try to use it and follow along. Okay? So here we are at the splash screen, and I'm going to flip back over to ArcMap, and this is the splash screen. And always what I do, if I don't have an existing project that I want to open, and I'm going to start a new blank template, right? That's right here. I just click on this little map button. And what it does is it says, you want to create a new project? Awesome. Let's talk for a minute about this. When you create a new project, you want to make sure the first thing you do is create a folder for it. As we get through week after week, I'm going to be talking a lot about data management and file management and staying organized, because there are thousands and thousands of files that we're going to interact with. So we want to make sure that we stay organized. And this one here, right, this is my home computer, and this is the project, I could call it. I can go and, I can create a project anywhere I want just by hitting that little folder. You see what I just did? This little folder here is the browse button. We're going to be hitting browse buttons in order to have better access to the computers that we're working with, right? Like, yeah, it has default areas where it likes to save things. But for me, I like to work with my OneDrive. And I have a Sioux College OneDrive. Everybody here has a Sioux College OneDrive, right? You can put your projects in there and work on them from there. And the beauty of that is that if you are working from home, you can open up the projects that you were working on in the computer lab, but you can open them up from your home computer and still have access to those and save changes and everything, and it'll update whether you're in a computer lab or whether you're at home. It's a beautiful thing, right? So anyways, my OneDrive is somewhere. It is in my Sioux College area. There it is, OneDrive Sioux College. If I go in there, let's see, do I have a projects folder already? These are all the courses that I teach. I do have a NET 108. Let's go there. And you know what? I'm going to make a new folder. And I am going to call this folder Projects. And if I go into this folder, this is the place, right? You got to give things a place to live. Then you also have to give them names. So I'm going to call this sample. No, I'm just going to call it Gerard's project. Notice that I didn't put any spaces in the name. And in fact, this may not even work because there's a little apostrophe there, right? Let's see if it'll work. Let's see if it likes this name. Cannot. Hi. What did I do wrong? Let's close this off. Oh, it just wants a location. It doesn't need a name. So let's just go back and do it again. OneDrive, NET 108. I'm navigating down a path, right? Oh, there's projects right there. This is where I want my projects to live, right? Or at least where I want this one to live. And if I just say, okay, well, that's where it's going to go. Look, now there's a path to that location, and I can give it a name right here. Let's see if I can give it a name. What happens if I put in something weird in here? Is it going to let me give it a name like that? Oh, look at that, it did. What a weird name for a project. Whatever, I'm not worried about it because I'm not hurting anything. I can delete the project, I mean, whatever. I'm just messing around, but it gives me access to the software. Here I am. Here's the software. And for me, because I've opened it a bunch of times, I'm just going to reset all of my panes for mapping so that everything just looks the same as how it would look when you open it for the first time. Here it is. I've got a map, I've got a contents pane, I've got a catalog pane. That's typically how ArcMap starts. These are three separate entities, and then there's also this thing at the top, the ribbon, right? And on the ribbon, there's a project tab, There's a map tab, there's an insert tab, an analysis tab, view, edit, imagery, share, all of these tabs, right? And if I look in this document, the very first thing we talk about is this ribbon interface. What is it, right? So introductory work with the ribbon interface, I would say we're not going to work with more than 3 or 4 tabs. The project tab itself is if you want to go out and change, maybe open a different project, or change the name of things, or change the settings of your project. ArcGIS Pro has a dark mode, which is kind of cool. Just like a lot of web browsers and a lot of software packages are going dark, right? Which is cool if you like that. I'm going to keep things bright just because it's a video. Now this ribbon, right? You can see here the view tab. When it's activated, that's the one that's activated right now because it's highlighted. It's highlighted blue, and you can see that it is the opened tab, right? Think of all of these as the tabs across the top of the ribbon. And you can see all of these tools are accessible when the view tab is activated. So if I go back to ArcMap, is my view tab even activated right now? It totally is, because I just reset my panes for mapping. I can reset my panes for geoprocessing, and that opens up this geoprocessing window, and I can close it. The window's not gone forever, it's just I don't need the window, so why do I have it open? You're going to hear me talking about real estate, like, you don't want to have all of the windows open at all times. So the view tab allows you to work with just the windows themselves, and it's kind of neat because the windows are dockable and undockable, and what that means is you can grab them, right? This contents window, I click on it, left click, and then I left click and drag it away, and look what happens. There's all these, I can put it at the top, I could put it over on this side, I can put it at the bottom, I could put it over here, right? It's kind of neat. Or I can put it right back where it started. If I just drag it away, it becomes an independent window, which means I can resize it, right? Make it a little bit smaller and put it there. And that allows for a larger piece of real estate in this map window in the back, right? I can do the same with my catalog pane. I can grab it and I can drag it off, just have it open by itself and resize it and make it smaller. We're not working with a ton of stuff today, right? So look at that. Now I've got my contents and my catalog pane still there, but they're smaller and they're by themselves. I can close them off, right? I can close this one, I can close this one, and just be left with just a map. It's like having a nice big piece of paper, right? It's a data frame. It's a frame for your data. You put stuff here to visualize it, right? And we'll get to that point. Same thing with the map. I can actually grab the map and drag it away, and look at that. The map itself shows the project name, right? You can see it there, and I can resize this map. And then what's sitting in the background is just blank space. There's nothing here. I can't right click, I can't left click. If I right click on the map, there's things happening, right? I can do right clicking is actually something we're going to learn to leverage the power of. But right now we're just learning about the windows. So this map window is kind of neat. And there it is. If I close it, now it's gone. Now I've got nothing. What am I going to do? Right? If I click over to the map tab on the ribbon, all of the tools are grayed out for the most part because I don't have an open map. So I'm trying to just sort of give you an idea as to what this interface looks like, right? And I can't see anything, so logic would have me go to the view tab and say, well, I need these things to be back, so I'm going to reset my panes. That's a great way to just get all your windows back. If I reset my panes for mapping, I get my catalog window and I get my contents window, or sorry, my contents pane and my catalog pane. These are called panes because you don't put data in, you don't get to visualize data in them, right? They're not viewing windows. But where's my map? You can access your map in the catalog pane where it says maps, right? These are the maps that are in my project. If I expand, you can see, oh, there's my map, and I can actually just drag and drop that back out. I should be able to. Oh, I can't drag and drop it. Well, let's right click and say open. Oh, look at that, the right click menu works. When in doubt, right click on stuff and see what options you have. So I have my map back. And same thing, it'll go back to its default position, which is kind of nice. And my contents pane, I can drag back over here and put it there. Go my catalog pane over here, and I'm kind of back in business, right? I can still drag my map window away and resize it and do all that kind of stuff if I want to. Now, in the computer lab, you may be working with a computer that has one monitor, or you may be working with a computer that has dual monitors. And if that's the case, right, on a dual monitored system, you could actually drag your map away and put it on a different screen altogether. That's like really nice because of screen real estate stuff. So I'll bring mine back and put it here. Look at this. If I drag my map and I want it to go back to fill the entire window, see there, if there's, when I'm left clicking and dragging, I can fill an entire space and put it there. This is all just about the interface, right? So panes themselves can be a pain, huh? And the catalog window, or the catalog pane over here, I can grab it, and my contents, I can grab it, and resizable and dockable windows, right? That's what I've been doing, is just docking and resizing stuff. I do want to show you one more thing, docking and nesting panes. So I can take my catalog and I can actually bring it over to my contents, and I can dock it inside there, so you get like a double whammy, so to speak, right? Here it is. I've got the catalog pane and the contents pane now available in one window. So if you're thinking about real estate, think about how you can do that. I could also take my catalog pane and drag it back out. Same thing. You just grab it and drag it, right? If you grab it and drag it in to the contents pane and fill the entire window, something different happens. See, what I've done is I've taken my catalog window and I've dragged it into the contents and I've filled that entire space. What I'm doing is nesting. That's called drag and nest. So now I have one single window and the catalog is there, but where did my contents go? They're in there. But you know where they are? They're down here. They're on a different tab. Right? So dragging and nesting is kind of neat. I can open up the geoprocessing window and I can drag it and I can nest it in here, right? I can open up other windows if I really wanted to, but I'm just going to leave those three there. So you can see that there's a whole bunch that you can bring in, right? But then you have to know that they're still nested, and you can flip between these different panes as you need them while you're using the software. Okay, we don't need the geoprocessing pane because it's more of an advanced pane for doing some interesting things, right? If you want to, find some tools like the clip tool, right? You can just search for it and there it is. It's an analysis tool, and in fact you can open it and you have all of these things. We're going to be working with geoprocessing later in the course. We're not going to use it today. No way we're not using it today. We're just getting used to things. In my catalog pane, right, I'm going to unnest it, right, and put it over here, put it back here, and put it back here. So the first activity, if you look at it, right, it talks about the ribbon, and it talks about the insert tab, and it talks about the map tab, and so on. So a few other things that I can do is I can add a few more maps. That's something that I should talk about too. So let's get back to Arc. I call it Arc Pro, I call it Arc, right? I don't call it Arc Map because that's an older piece of software, right? I'm a dinosaur, but I'm learning how to keep up with the times. This map right here is this map right here. Now, if I wanted to add another map, I can do that using the Insert tab, right? So we've talked about the View tab enough to play around with the views and the panes and the view windows and so on. But the insert tab is kind of neat because I can add another map. Look what it does. It adds another map. And in fact, I could add these maps all day long. I can add another one. And I can add another one. Once it finishes its bit, it has to save it to the project, right? So I've got like 4, I could keep adding them. And why am I doing this? You might think it's completely ridiculous. Why? Well, I want to show you that the catalog pane keeps track of the stuff that is in the project, right? That project folder is just getting filled up with maps now. There's no data being put into the maps, or we're not really visualizing anything yet. We will be. But, now I've got all these maps, and I want to show you something interesting, right? Right now, map number 4 is active. And in the contents window, map number 4 is showing as being the active map as well. You can see, if I flip to map 3, well, there's the contents of map 3. Map 2, there's the contents. There's no contents in any of the maps, but I want to show you that there is an interaction between not only the contents pane and maps, but also you can interact with your maps using the catalog pane. And there's a difference between the contents pane and the catalog pane. The catalog pane gives you access to everything that's on your computer, gives you access to actually everything that's online as well. There's a lot of online data, there's a lot of resources available for us to play around with, using either what's in your project or what's on the portal or so on, right? Anyways, that's that. Now, I can close off maps, right? Here's map 4, let's close it, and just get back to just the regular old map that's there. This is the one singular map that's there, and sure enough, all of the other maps are closed, but they're not gone. They're sitting in the project, right? So there's some terminology that we have to learn. We have to learn that, the project is kind of like the all-encompassing project, where you can keep maps and layers and layouts and data and connections to paths to data, bookmarks, all kinds of things that we're going to be playing around with. But the project itself is just a project. It's not data. Data is different. Data is stored on your computer, and the project accesses the data. I'm going to start talking about that distinction now because it's a good thing to start talking about. ArcGIS Pro is a piece of software that's used for displaying data, or managing data, or working with and processing data, but it is not the data. That sounds weird, but that's something to establish right off the bat. It's a piece of software for making things look nice, or for modifying things, or for accessing the information that resides within things, and all those things are, the data. Data is different than the layers that you would even see in projects. When you bring data into a project, it's just being displayed as a layer. But the layer is even something different than the data. The layer is just a view window into the data. So once you get a handle on that idea, the sooner the better. Now in the catalog pane, I've got all these maps. I don't need all of them. I'm going to delete them, right? When I delete something, I just right-clicked on it, and I have all these options, right? I could open it back up, but I could also delete it. If I delete it, look at the message I get. It says, do you want to permanently delete it? Well, for me, yeah, I opened them up and I created them. I don't need all of them. I only need a few. So I'm going to delete a couple. I can see here's map 1 and map 2 and just map. Perfect. Let's leave it at that. Okay. If I wanted to, maybe I'll open up these other two. I'm going to open map number 1, and I'm going to open map number 2. So I have all 3 of them. So right now, it's kind of like they're nested within each other, but you can also display multiple maps at the same time, just like you can dock panes, right? So I'm going to grab map 2 and drag it away and resize it, or maybe I'll just drag it over here and say go to the side. So now in this one, same thing, I'm going to put it in the middle. now I can see all three maps. It's kind of nice, right? And I can also drag them away, and I can make them their own pieces, right? I can drag this one over here and say go here, and I can drag this one over here and go here. So what I've done here now is I have a separate window that has three maps. Now, why, right? Well, there's different kinds of data. You don't have to have three maps open all the time. And in fact, quite often you just work with a single map or maybe two. But for today's activities, I want to work with a bunch of maps just to kind of see that there's a lot of differences between different data types. And in future activities, we'll be working with different coordinate systems and what do they look like, right? When you can compare one coordinate system to another and so on. How do we work with projected data, geographic data, all that kind of stuff. So let's flip back over. I don't want to get lost here. So I'm looking at the ribbon. I think we get the idea, right? We've got the map itself, and we've worked with the Insert tab. Now on the Map tab, this ribbon interface comes active, right? On the Map tab, there's all these tools that come active. So maybe we should have a look at that and look at this right here. This is called Explore. This is how your mouse works, right? You've heard me say left click, right click, and so on, but let's play around with it a little bit, right? So I'm going to go back to ArcGIS Pro, and when I have a map active, let's just say I want this one to be active. If I click on the Map tab itself, what do I have access to now, right? I've got access to tools. Remember they were grayed out before when I didn't have maps open? Well, now I have some things that I can do, and the Explore tool itself, right? If I just hover over it, you can see my mouse. If I just hover over where it says Explore, those are your instructions for using the mouse. And there's a lot there. You don't have to learn all of it all at once, but you can view things. You can view pop-ups by clicking on them if you have data in your window. You can zoom in, you can zoom out, and you can zoom continuous, right? So all of these things are there. Now, I'm not zooming into anything right now, but look. If you can hear that, sounds a little bit like a cat purring. That's my mouse wheel, right? I'm zooming in with my mouse wheel. And the only thing that's different right now is that little number at the bottom of this map window. If you look closely, when I roll my mouse towards the screen or away from me, what I'm doing is I'm zooming in to a larger scale. When I roll it away, I'm zooming out to a larger scale. But it doesn't affect any of the other maps. It's only this map that I'm working with, right? So that's interesting. Scale, we're going to be talking a lot about scale. You're going to learn about scale quite a bit. You can change the scale of a map window, right, pretty quickly. I could zoom to 100,000 immediately. In fact, if I wanted to zoom to 100,000, I could just type in 100,000 and hit enter, hopefully, and be there. Doesn't want to work for me right now. Is my number lock on? What about 200? There we go. Right? So map scale is really important. You can see this one over here is at a scale of 1 to 55 million, and this one is as well. That's the default scale that you get when you open up a map that has nothing in it. Right? But you have all of these scales available to you just by hitting this little drop-down menu. Just remember that, because we're going to work on adding some data very shortly. But I want to make sure that I don't mess around and forget anything. Right? So let's go back here. View and pane windows. This one just talks about the map view itself, right? There are all kinds of different views, right? Like the ones that we've been opening are just called maps, and you can rename them. You can change coordinate systems in them. You can do all kinds of stuff using the contents pane. So that part of it, you'll see in class. But it talks about panes and so on as well. But learning activity 1, we've basically done. You can see that before we add any data, it's really important for us to just modify the panes and windows that are on screen. We need to be able to effectively close, open, and reset panes, right? So let's go back and just quickly recap that, right? If I were to close off all of the map windows, it doesn't mean they're gone, right? They're in the contents pane. If I close off the catalog pane, if I close off the contents pane and I close off the catalog pane, everything's gone, but I can get it back by using the View tab and saying reset for mapping, or reset for editing, or reset for geoprocessing, whatever. Use the reset for mapping and you'll get your panes back. But the maps themselves, you have to reopen manually using the catalog window, for existing maps anyways. Or you can use the Insert tab and just put in a new map, right? So things to remember. What else did we do? Dockability of panes, we did that. I think you get the idea. Once you get that, it's pretty quick. Using the View, Insert, and Map tabs in the ribbon, gain confidence in docking and undocking, dragging and nesting. We've covered all that stuff. So that is really that, if you feel better going and using written instructions, those are here for you, right? So you can definitely work with those, okay? The next learning activity we're going to be playing around with just accessing ArcGIS Pro help resources. But for right now, I don't want these videos to be super long, so I'm going to end it here and just say thank you so much. You guys are awesome. And remember, if you want access to the PowerPoints, you can look at them, view them on your own, or maybe I'll make a video going through this PowerPoint. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that yet, but activity number 1 through 5, I want to have videos for those, and I'm going to be posting them to YouTube, and hopefully that's where you're watching it right now. So yeah, see you later. See you on the next activity.